Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Moscow on a two-day visit. This is his first visit since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Straight away to Moscow, where, as you can see, this is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
The Indian Prime Minister went on a crucial two-day summit to Moscow for attending the 22nd bilateral summit between India and Russia. Now, this summit happened on 8th and 9th of July 2024, and this summit has been ongoing since the year 2000. And also, this is the first visit of Prime Minister Modi after August 2019 to Kremlin. Now, a senior official of Foreign Ministry has said that there is no significance in the timing of PM Modi's visit to Russia. Now, PM Modi's two-day visit also coincides with a very crucial meeting happening in Washington. That is your NATO summit. Now, NATO summit will be primarily focusing on the Russia-Ukraine war and atrocities happening in the Ukraine region. Now, a senior official from the Foreign Ministry has said that there is no significance in PM Modi's timing of a visit to Russia, because it is a part of the long-standing calendar and the list of events which PM Modi is yet to attend, which is why it should be treated just as a coincidence, and there should be no reading between the lines in the coincidence of these two summits happening at the same period of time. Every Indian considers Russia to be its friend in good and bad times both. This is what our Prime Minister Modi said. And he also added that the commitment of our relationship have been tested multiple times in the last many years. And every year, our commitment and the bond has grown stronger year after year. Now, India has faced several pressures from the Western nations, especially United States of America and European Union, regarding its relationship with Russia. Especially after Russia invaded Ukraine, a lot of pressures were leveled on India. However, till now, India has been able to resist these pressures, stating its long-standing commitment and relationship with Russia alongside its economic requirements. Although the US has expressed their displeasure with regards to this visit of our Prime Minister Modi to Russia, their State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller has said that India should be taking up Ukraine invasion issue and Ukraine territorial integrity issue while they are talking with Russia. Now, Mr. Miller also said that the US has raised concerns with India with regards to its relationship with that of Russia. Now, Ukraine's president, that is President Zelensky, also did not mince words. And he said that PM Modi's visit to Russia is a huge disappointment and is a devastating blow to the peace efforts in the region. Now, as the Western nations have been trying to isolate Russia from the global economy, from the global geopolitics, Russia has been involved in summit-level talks with India, China, and Turkey primarily, solidifying its relationship with all the three nations. Now, many people are asking that this PM Modi's visit to Russia, would it be playing towards President Putin's advantage? Would it be an advantageous position for Russia if our Indian Prime Minister is visiting Russia? Are India's relationship with the West, especially European Union and USA, going to be worsened after this visit? How India is going to navigate its relationship and balance the power between its relationship with that of US, Russia, China, and European Union? And what foreign policy posture India should adopt at this turbulent period and this turbulent juncture. Also, from a broader perspective, how has India-Russia relationship evolved over several decades, evolved over a period of time, and what is the contemporary reality of India-Russia relationship? All these questions we'll be trying to answer in this particular session. Hello, my name is Preetpal Singh, and today's topic is India-Russia relationship with a broader perspective on India's foreign policy. See, one very crucial thing which we need to understand here is that India's relationship with Russia is not very new, and it did not emerge after the 1971 Indo-Soviet Treaty. India's relationship with the Soviet region, with the Russian region, dates back to 3rd or 4th century BC. There have been several instances in the history where Russian incidents have inspired India's movements. If you remember the Russian Revolution in 1917, it greatly inspired the Indian national movement and Indian freedom struggle. It provided ideological and moral support to our freedom struggle. And several of our freedom fighters, including Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, were inspired by several happenings which were there in the Soviet Union during that period of time, especially the socialist ideology. And if you closely see that after independence, our economic model, which was the mixed economic model with the socialist tilt, that was also inspired from USSR. And if you also closely see the 5-year plans which we followed, they were also exact replica and were inspired from Soviet Union. So this shows that our relationship with Soviet Union or Russia is not very new. There have been existence of deep ties between India and Soviet Union since last many decades. Now, a poll conducted in 2020 suggested that Indians consider Russia as its closest friend. Close to 47% Indians voted in favor of Russia, which again shows that India-Russia cooperation is very, very deep-rooted and is very, very crucial. Now, to start from very, very basics, India's foreign relations with the other countries are having several hierarchies and categories, which can include special partnership, privileged partnership, strategic partnership, comprehensive partnership, and different other hierarchies as well. Now, India and Russia are having the highest level of partnership, that is special and privileged strategic partnership, which makes India and Russia very close to each other. This shows that both the countries value each other very highly with respect to their foreign policies, and both are very trustable allies and partners. Now, as we know, before 1991, Russia was a part of USSR, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. However, in 1991, USSR got disintegrated, and the resultant was a very big country named as Russia alongside several small other countries. Now, a very interesting thing to note here is that the Embassy of India in Moscow was built in the year 1821 and also remodeled in the year 1896. Eventually, it was transferred to the Indian government in 1952, and after that it became the embassy building for India in Moscow. Now, let us try to historically understand that how India's relationship with Russia, or let's say Soviet Union, evolved over a period of time, especially after we got independent, that is especially after 1947. Now, it was in the year 1951 when USSR exercised its veto power in support of India with respect to Kashmir disputes. So this was the very first instance where Russia or USSR showed that it is a very trustable partner for India and showed remarkable support for India. Also, eventually, our first Prime Minister, that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's visit to Moscow in 1955 also laid the foundations of a very cordial, trustable and comprehensive relationship with Russia. And for several years after, Soviet Union provided economic, military, defense-related help and assistance to India. If you remember, in 1966, Soviet Union was very successful in brokering a peace deal between India and Pakistan following the India-Pakistan War of 1965. And that was famously known as Tashkent Agreement. And you would remember Tashkent Agreement because during that period of time only, while signing the Tashkent Agreement, in Tashkent only, we lost our second Prime Minister, that is Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. Now, in brokering this Tashkent Agreement also, Soviet Union had a very instrumental role to play. And eventually, in 1971, came the year where everything will be changed with respect to our foreign policy. In the year 1971, we will sign a treaty of friendship and peace with Russia. And that treaty will lay the foundation of strong relationship between India and Soviet Union in many decades to come. So we basically signed a Indo-Soviet treaty on friendship and cooperation in the year 1971. This treaty was signed on 9th of August 1971. And if you remember, something happened on 3rd of December in the same year. That is on 3rd of December 1971, India-Pakistan War of 1971 started.
मैं एक खतरे के समय बोल रही हूँ। कुछ ही घंटे पहले 3 दिसंबर पाकिस्तान ने हमारे ऊपर एक हमला किया।
Now, because India had signed a treaty with USSR, USSR will definitely help India in the 1971 India-Pakistan War. And while we signed this treaty, it was seen by the whole world as India's shift or India's departure or India's deviation from the earlier non-alignment movement which we were following. Now, according to this particular treaty, USSR and India were bound to cooperate in multiple ways with each other to strengthen their bilateral ties. But unfortunately, in 1971 itself, India-Pakistan War started. And at that point of time, United States of America made its position very, very clear that in the event of a war, they would be supporting Pakistan. And if China is to join the war later on, they will not be intervening in that particular war. This is what the position of United States of America was. And several other countries, including United Kingdom, were also supporting Pakistan in this particular war. But the treaty with the USSR, which our country had, it helped in breaking this nexus of US, UK and Pakistan, and ultimately ensuring that India's interests are at the forefront. Now, as the events unfolded and as the war was ongoing, British and Americans, they basically tried to intimidate India. Now simultaneously, Britishers' naval fleet or warships were in the Arabian Sea, that is the western coast of India, and American warships, they were marching towards the Bay of Bengal region. And the motive was just one: to ensure that the Pakistani army would be helped and to facilitate the cause of Pakistan. And to counter this, Russia dispatched its nuclear warships, including frigates, destroyers, and submarines. Now, these warships included anti-ship missiles as well. Now, this particular move gave a very important strategic and military advantage to India. So eventually what happened, that the British ships, they retreated towards Madagascar, and the US ships, they were approaching Bay of Bengal, they dismissed or dispersed. And eventually we were able to cut off the support which US and Britishers were trying to give to Pakistan, and they were trying to intimidate us. This also we were able to cure with the help of USSR. Now Soviet Union, since it was a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, it vetoed on several Pakistani inspired resolutions, because of which it helped India a lot. In total of 3 times, Soviet Union vetoed in favor of India. And eventually we all know that on 16th of December 1971, Pakistani army surrendered, India won the war, and the country of Bangladesh was formed. Now in all this time period, we saw that we had one trustable friend in the entire world, whom we can trust with our eyes closed. And that was the Soviet Union, that is USSR, because it helped us in the times when others were against us. And this was the moment from where India and Soviet Union ties never looked back and grew leaps and bounds. Now from this time period till 1991, when the disintegration of USSR happened and Russian Federation came into being, till this period of time, India and Soviet Union relationship was very, very good. Now after 1991, what happened was that for a decade, there was a unipolar world order which was seen, which was highly dominated by United States of America. However, during this period also, India's relationship with Russian Federation remained very, very strong and consistent. Until now, so much has happened in the world order, so many changes have happened in the global geopolitics, but Russia and India remain still today time-tested and very, very good strategic partners. Now, since the signing of declaration on India-Russia strategic partnership, which happened on October of 2000, India's relationship with Russia have qualitatively improved a lot, and they have qualitatively achieved a very new character, and we have enhanced our levels of cooperation in almost all the different spheres, and we have also tried to improve our basket in which we trade. So our bilateral relationship in political sense, economic wise, security, trade related or environment related or cultural exchange or even relations with our diaspora has also been consistently very good after the signing of this declaration in the year 2000. Now if we have to analyze the contemporary relationship between India and Russia, we can divide it under 3 different heads, or there can be 3 major pillars through which we can be able to understand or we can be able to analyze India-Russia relationship in a better way. First is the defense cooperation, second is the economic cooperation, and third is the science and tech, space and nuclear cooperation. Now let us understand the defense cooperation between India and Russia in bit of detail. Now India's defense relationship with Russia has transformed over the years from simple buyer and seller relationships to closer cooperation in research and development field, in marketing field and in production field of highly critical technological areas in the defense sectors. The BrahMos missile production is a shining example of this closer cooperation between India and Russia in relation to defense. The bilateral defense projects which are underway currently between India and Russia includes the licensed production of T-90 tanks, also the Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft, the supply of MiG-29K aircraft and Temov 31 helicopters, also the upgrade of the MiG-29 aircrafts. In all these spheres currently, these 2 countries are cooperating. Also, Russia has helped India in getting the INS Vikram Aditya aircraft carrier as well. And if you remember, the S-400 air defense system, that also we are purchasing from Russia only. So all in all, we see that India's cooperation with Russia in relation to defense is strategically, tactically and technologically very, very sound. Now the joint exercises between the 3 armed forces of Russia and India are under the banner of Indra. So that is under the name Indira. There have been military exercises ongoing between Russia and in India. And also, if you know, we have also started 2+2 dialogue or 2+2 ministerial meeting in relation to the defense and foreign minister between India and Russia, again to smoothen the ties and to increase the cooperation between the countries. And if we have to see overall, then India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military Technical Cooperation, which is co-chaired by the Defense Minister of India and the Defense Minister of Russia, is the main institutional mechanism for interaction in relation to the defense field between India and Russia. So all in all, we conclude that India's defense ties with Russia are very deep-rooted and are very, very crucial for India and Russia both. Now coming to the second very important pillar, that is of economic cooperation between both the countries. Now as per the data released by the Department of Commerce, in the year 2023-2024, the total bilateral trade between both the countries was upwards of $65 billion. And both the countries few years back planned on achieving $30 billion trade by the year 2025, and definitely we have over exceeded our expectations, and the current trade stands at upward of $65 billion. Now out of this, India's export is close to $4.2 billion and India's import is close to $61.4 billion. So India is basically the first largest trading partner for Russia, and Russia remains the fourth largest trading partner for that of India, which again shows us economic cooperation and economic relationship in relation to trade, export and import between the countries again is very, very deep. Now we export a lot of products to Russia, including pharmaceuticals, organic metals, minerals, food items, vegetables, iron and steel, appliances and several other things. But the major item of import from Russia, which we import from Russia, includes petroleum products, oil products, fertilizers, minerals, precious stones, metals and vegetable oil. Now in this recent summit which has concluded, both the countries have set a target of achieving $100 billion trade by the year 2030. Again, it is a very crucial target and a very ambitious target, but definitely before 2030 itself, we will be able to achieve this target. Now if you remember, after the Russia-Ukraine war, or Russia invaded Ukraine, India has been importing a lot of crude oil from Russia after that. Before that, India just used to import close to 2% of its overall crude oil from Russia. But after the Russia-Ukraine war, India has been importing more than 30-40% of its oil from Russia. Now, why such a huge difference? Because after Russia-Ukraine war, Russia slashed its crude oil prices to the maximum. So the discount was very, very high, and India gave its refineries, gave its oil and petroleum companies the freedom that you can get the petroleum and oil from whichever country you get it for the cheapest rate. And that is why Indian companies have been going to Russia to buy crude oil and petroleum products, because it has been saving money for them. And if we see the official data, Indian refiners saved close to $10.5 billion between April of 2022 and May of 2024 because of purchasing crude oil from Russia. Earlier, our primary oil imports were from Iraq, then from Saudi Arabia and then from UAE. But now, 2024, maximum of our crude oil or petroleum products we are importing from Russia, which again shows that Russia has become even the more important for us in this 2024, 2023, 2022 years. Now, in the upcoming times, both the countries have mutually agreed that they'll be diversifying their trade basket even wider. They'll be broadening their trade basket to include other products as well, not just sticking around this oil products and petroleum products only. So in relation to economic sphere also, in relation to trade, in relation to investment, in relation to purchase, exports and imports also, we saw that India's relationship in economic sense with Russia is very, very deep and very, very important for both the countries. Now let us go through the third pillar, that is science and tech, space and nuclear cooperation between both the countries. Now India and Russia today work on a lot of different projects, including applied sciences, material sciences, mathematics, and cutting-edge technologies. And the biggest example can be seen in the India's mission of Gaganyaan, that is India's manned space flight, where India and Russia have been cooperating and collaborating very, very strongly. Also in the fields of artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, cryptocurrency, biotechnology, India and Russia's cooperation is very, very deep-rooted. Now on 7th of November 2009, India and Russia also signed a nuclear deal. And if you remember, the Kudankulam nuclear power plant, which is there in Tamil Nadu, that was also constructed and developed with the help and assistance and expertise of Russia only. So the bilateral relationship between the countries in relation to science and technology, nuclear field, and space and technology field is very, very crucial for both the countries as well. And also, broadly, if you see the people-to-people ties between both the countries, they have also remained very, very strong. And tourism have also got an impetus in the last many years. A lot of Indian students have enrolled in Russia, especially the medical sciences student and engineering students. They are going to Russia for better opportunities, for better study facilities. A lot of medical tourists are coming to India from Russia because of cheaper medicine available, cheaper treatment available in India. So university level cooperation, school level cooperation, and people-to-people cooperation between India and Russia is also very, very strong. Now, as you know, both the countries are also part of very important international organizations, which includes United Nations, your BRICS, your Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and G20 as well, of which India took presidency in the year 2023. And over the last many decades, Russia has supported India's claim for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council as well, for which India is definitely indebted to Russia. And Russia has been strongly supporting us whenever a resolution against India is there in the United Nations Security Council. And India has also reciprocated Russia with a lot of votings which happens in the United Nations and other agencies of it as well. If you remember, in the Russia-Ukraine war also, in that resolution, India abstained. That is, India did not vote. So all in all, from all this discussion, there is one conclusion which we can derive, that India and Russia are not just partners because of their economic interests or because of their defense interests. India and Russia are partners naturally. They are natural allies to each other, which is why since last many decades, both the countries' relationships have substantially improved organically. Right? That is why the relationship is very sound till today. But that does not in any way mean that India's relationship with the Western nations are not good. If you have seen the last decade of ours in relation to foreign policy, India has significantly improved its relationship with the United States of America, with the European Union, especially the Western European nations. Now, many foreign policy experts believe that this particular thing puts India in a very tricky and a tight spot. However, India's growing economy, its strategic location, its mix of a friendly and diplomatic foreign policy, and also its vast diaspora has ensured that India is having more allies than the enemies, which is why India is currently also considered as the voice of Global South, where we are putting forward the concerns and the aspirations of the countries which are the part of Global South. That means the countries which are deprived. Also, our External Affairs Minister, that is S. J. Shankar, has multiple times reiterated that the current world order in which we are living is a multipolar world order, not a unipolar, not a bipolar world order, but a multipolar world order, where no single country or no set of countries dominate, but every country is having their own significance and their own role to play. Now, in such a world order, India has decided that it will go on the path of strategic autonomy. So our foreign policy will be that of strategic autonomy, and we will be doing issue-based diplomacy, which will be based on conditions, strategies, situations, and different circumstances, because different circumstances would require a different foreign policy posture. We will not be just inclined towards one ideology, but our concerns will be broader. Our concerns and areas of cooperation will be broader. Eventually, our foreign policy will be determined keeping in mind the interests, the aspirations, and also the benefits of people of our country. And in such a scenario, India's close relationship with Russia will be beneficial for Russia and India both, and will help in the progress of both the countries altogether. Now, do let me know your views on India's relationship with Russia and what our foreign policy stance should be. I'll be very happy to read your comments. All the very best and have a nice day.